Good evening. It's Thursday, November 6th. It's been a little bit since I've done these regularly. My voice has been kind of iffy for the last couple of weeks, just fighting off a cold. So we'll see how long we can go here. Hoping to talk for a little bit about, first of all, the great stretch of weather we're going to have for the next 6 or 7 days, and then what could be changing beyond that. It's really early. It's November. A lot's going to change. But two of our bigger forecast models have been somewhat consistently hinting at some pretty good rain somewhere in California, perhaps some pretty good snow too. There's a lot of unknowns here, and we're going to talk about why this particular pattern usually comes with a lot of unknowns, especially at more than 8 days out. I'm also just going to compare model forecast rainfall. You don't do that all that often. And we'll start with a caveat, and I'm going to say this over and over and over again. When I show you raw model output for potential rainfall amounts, it's not a forecast. One model is never itself a forecast. We use weather models as tools when building our forecast, but we put everything together. We assess which models are doing the best with certain things, and then we use our brains to figure out what's most likely going to happen. So again, we're not talking forecast when we're talking about next weekend's possible rain. We're talking about what the possibilities are at this point. But there's a lot of time between here and next weekend. Not a ton going on weather-wise to talk about before then, but there's enough. And of course, we're coming up on another weekend. We're coming up on Veterans Day. A lot of people hopefully have some outdoor plans. If you don't have any yet this weekend or early next week, it's going to be a really great week to get outside. So without further ado, let's talk about kind of the only hiccup we may see tomorrow. And that's the same thing that we saw today. Maybe a little bit of fog into parts of the valley. It was pretty widespread earlier this morning for the Sacramento Valley. This is our fog model here. So this is 6 o'clock Friday morning. So this morning the fog was more widespread from Tehama County through Sutter County, through parts of Yuba County, Sacramento County. It kind of stopped almost at the Pocket neighborhood in Sacramento, and then farther south you didn't see much. Part of the reason why we didn't have much fog this morning is that the San Joaquin Valley didn't see much rain yesterday. Typically the more moisture you have, the better your odds of having some fog settle into the valley. Well, tomorrow weather pattern is going to shift just enough that best chance of any fog is going to be from Sacramento County through eastern San Joaquin County and eastern Stanislaus County. So if you have travel along parts of the I-5 corridor, if you're going to be headed east or west to or from the foothills, you're going to have some fog to contend with there on the east side of the valley. But this is just before sunrise. By 9 a.m., most of that fog is dissipated. Notice Sacramento by this point is looking at plenty of sunshine. Yuba City, also nice and bright. Modesto and Stockton should be sunny by that point too. And then we get into Friday afternoon, and it's looking really good. These are our numbers for Friday. Once they load, there we go. Yeah, Friday's going to be a couple degrees warmer than today. A little bit of that morning fog. Plenty of afternoon sun for the valley, the foothills, the Sierra. Just a really nice Friday afternoon. Do have a little bit of rain that's kind of clipping the north coast right now. Let's call up a radar real quick. So here's what's going on over the past hour. Steady stream of rain into Trinity County, into Shasta and Tehama County. It was raining really nicely up into Siskiyou County earlier. Things kind of shifting a little bit to the south. Parts of Mendocino and Napa County may catch a few showers first thing tomorrow morning. And you can see there may be a few sprinkles there on the west slope of the Sierra in Plumas County, down into Nevada County. That's nothing that's going to accumulate. It's not going to stick around all that long. But tomorrow may start off with a little bit of cloud cover in the mountains. We'll get into plenty of snow in the afternoon. Now let's go back and kind of set the table for the extended outlook here. Yeah, so there's that little bit of rain you can see as it tries to drop to the south, it just kind of falls apart. That's where our really nice weekend is coming from, a nice ridge of high pressure. This is Saturday into Sunday. That's light winds, mainly clear sky, plenty of sun, and nice mild temperatures for this time of the year too. Normal highs for Sacramento are now in the upper 60s. We're going to be in the low to mid 70s Saturday, Sunday, probably Monday too. Even Tuesday, this high is still kind of hanging around. We'll see a little bit of an increase in some high cloud cover, but no sign of rain yet. Look what's happening off the coast though. This is Wednesday. We're still dry. We are definitely dry through Wednesday. We start to get into some questions when we get into next Thursday, so a week from today, as this low tries to start to drift its way to the east. Keep in mind this is one model. I'm going to show you a couple different models here. This is just what we have loaded up in our graphic system right now. Maybe rain at the coast on Thursday. Some models have it, some don't. We included the chance for rain on our 7-day forecast next Thursday, but don't cancel any outdoor plans next Thursday yet. If your kid's got a game or a practice after school next Thursday, I wouldn't worry too much about this yet. But Friday could be another potentially showery day. Notice this low is still sitting off the coast. Doesn't really get interesting until here. This is next weekend. Okay, this low is still hanging around here, and you can see the flow of air around it, that typical counterclockwise flow, picking up moisture and sending it into much of central and northern California. Now this is not a high resolution model, so it's not picking apart, exactly where the heaviest rainfall rates are, the exact timing. It's not good for that, but it is decent for patterns. Also, what you notice here, this is a warm system. There's really not that much snow. Now, some other models are showing more in the way of some snow, but the caveat with all of this is that this is next weekend. This is way out there. Why am I talking about it now? Well, because there are some other sources online that are starting to talk about it too. So, yeah, we don't typically talk about, especially wintertime forecasting, beyond, say, 7 days because the uncertainty is really high. But my hope is to put out some good and reasonable information, answer what questions I have. We don't have a ton of answers with this, but we can have a little fun comparing the models and at least show you what I'm looking at. Nice little exercise in transparency. So if you have questions, go ahead and post them in the chat. Catherine's checking in on the KCRA Facebook page. Stuart says he only got 1/10 of an inch of rain in Elk Grove. Yeah, I'm assuming you're talking about yesterday. Yeah, there's a really sharp cutoff kind of to the south of Interstate 80 for those that had the rain and those that really didn't have much. The San Joaquin Valley just kind of got cheated by that system. That was somewhat unexpected. The wind's also not as strong as what we were expecting. All right, so to compare models, we're going to go off of our graphic system and go to the internet. So this is the same model I was just, or this is actually a newer version of the model I was just showing you. It's the American model. And it's kind of got the same idea. So this is Thursday, maybe rain at the coast, maybe some showers inland, we'll see. Friday, yeah, chance for some showers. Okay, this is really interesting. This is Saturday, next Saturday. This is the version of the model that just updated a couple of hours ago. Here's the model, the same model from 6 hours prior. Oh, actually now it looks like that's just updated. Very, very interesting. We've seen this happen a couple of times with this model already. All right, so here's next Saturday on the latest version of this model. same model, or same model, same time, Saturday, but this is what this model looked like 6 hours previous. Okay, so 6 hours ago, next Saturday looked like this. Now next Saturday looks like that. Choice 1, choice 2. You're starting to see where the uncertainty is coming from here. So that's the American model. That's been really inconsistent. I'll be perfectly honest, it's been really inconsistent for the last 48 hours. This is the European model. It's been more consistent, but it too shows a lot of variability. All right, so here's California over here. The viewpoint here on the European model is funky. I don't know why. All right, so here's Thursday. That's showing a lot more rain already compared to the American model. Friday, yep, rain chances again. And then Saturday, everything drops to the south. So you have huge variations run to run, model to model, but most are trying to show at least something. Let's go back to the American model here. Come on. There we go. All right, total accumulation. We'll take this out through next Sunday. So here's the most updated version of this model, the one that just came out about an hour ago. A couple tenths of an inch of rain for the valley, maybe. Okay, here's the same model, also out through the day next Sunday. And you've got over 2 inches of rain. 6 hours before that, nothing. 6 hours before that, back up over 2 inches of rain. The flip-flopping with this model has been pretty incredible, and not in a good way. But remember, at this far out, we expect this kind of flip-flopping. So now we'll go back over to the European model. That one doesn't quite go out enough. So here's what this model was showing. This is, again, through Sunday. Here's Sacramento here. This was this morning's version of the European model. Okay, over 2 inches of rain there. Last night, over 4 inches. Closer to 2 inches in the run previous. Around 2 inches. All right. Hopefully you get the picture there. We are seeing huge variability between the American model and the European model, and even if you just look at the American model, every 6 hours we go from inches of rain to basically nothing. But again, we're talking about next weekend. The fact that both models are keying in on something, though, tells us that we will probably get something. If you have outdoor plans next weekend, keep them. There is still a lot to be determined here. When it's going to rain, how much. There's the potential this whole thing just drops to the south and into Southern California. And it's all centered around the type of weather pattern that we're talking about. I'll call up a different model here and hopefully help illustrate that for you a little bit. So the pattern that we're watching for next week, call it a cutoff low. Watch what happens here. Here's our area of low pressure. This is right now. Okay, these little systems kind of ride through on the jet stream. All right, here's our low for next week starting to develop. This is this coming Sunday. There's high pressure right over California. There's our nice weekend. Here's where the low cuts off. See how these rings around the center of low pressure they actually make a perfect circle. You can kind of picture the jet stream is here, and the low drops to the south. So when we say it's cut off from the flow of the jet stream, which means there's nothing to push it anywhere. It's just kind of drifting. And when these lows kind of cut off the way they do and they just sit and spin, that's where forecast models just really struggle, because the forecast model's trying to figure out, where's this low going to go? Where's it going to send the moisture? Is it even going to have moisture? And part of the drivers of, okay, where's this area of low pressure going to go? It's the jet stream. So if this low is cut off from the jet stream, there's nothing to really send it in any direction. The models are kind of searching, kind of trying to figure it out, but just not doing a very good job right now. Excuse me. Like I said, still fighting the remnants of a cold here. Next weekend could be interesting. Next weekend could be absolutely nothing. It is something that we are watching in the background, and it's something we want everybody to just understand that we're paying attention to it too. If you're seeing the wacky headlines from somewhere else and you're not seeing them from us, well, we're choosy about when we put those big headlines out there, right? All right, let's check in on any comments. Larry says, we may see a good start to winter. Maybe. It's been a good fall so far.
Were you interested in that Sacramento County multifamily news story?
Stuart says, this time of the year it can switch so quickly. Yes, it can. Excuse me.
I am writing up now that the Lodi Winery thing is approved.
Sorry about that. All good. You guys know how these nagging fall coughs go. Just not much fun. All right, let's see if there's any more comments over on my page. Vicky is checking in from Oakdale as usual. Hi, Vicky. Lisa's checking in from Twainhart. Steve says, bring on the rain and the snow. Yeah, we'll see about both. We also have Steve checking in from Manteca. He says, let's go. All right. Well, we've showed the potentials for next weekend. Again, got to reiterate, not a forecast. We'll see how things go into early next week with these types of patterns. Forecast models may not have this figured out even by, say, next Wednesday. So it'll be interesting to see how everything plays out. But thanks for joining me for this little bit. I'm going to go grab myself some water before we get ready for the 10.